Good morning all. What you're looking at here, this is off my WB van. This is the indicator key lock. It's going to call it a switch, but it's not a switch, it's just a lock. The switch is on the bottom of this rod. That just that's the thing. Just see. So yeah, you basically pop that in there, swing it around, clips underneath, that bolts onto your steering column, so that is your actual switch. Possibly because I've actually bolted the steering column in, I'll probably have to drop it down now to get that back on. But anyway, we'll get to that when we get to it. Right, the issue I got here, I've got dirty fingers, which is a problem because I'm actually out here in my jammies still. And yeah, it gets cold in Tassie. I wear jammies. I never used to when I was in Sydney, so just sleep in the undies, but anyway. And I should have got dressed by now. Me out here fiddling farting around in my jammies, but yeah, happens regularly. Right, the issue I got, this is the bearing that goes on top, and I've tapped it into place, so I'm not going to pull it out and show you, but it's one-sided. It's got this flat plate on the top, so yeah, it only goes in one way. Now, the issue I'm having is that, so your steering column is collapsible. It's designed so that, in a front impact, it's not going to spear you in the guts. So yeah, it's, if I can do this one hand here, see? It's collapsible. Anyway, this is where your bearing fits, just in here. You've got a clip, you've got a washer, and there's a groove there, which means there's supposed to be a clip on top too, but yeah, that's long gone. I'm going to have to go through my box of clips and find a clip that'll fit on that. It'll just be like a wire. Yeah, a wire one like that. Anyway, but yeah, the issue I'm having is that the whole steering wheel and this bush keeps pulling out of the housing. Now, it's a pretty, in my way of thinking, it's a piss poor design. The only thing holding it in, you can see little dents in it here. So this is alloy too, not steel. So this little ridge here just has to be sort of wedged in to hold the bearing in place. And the issue you get is that when you go to take your steering wheel off, and it's probably made worse by the fact that they don't have a standard steering wheel, they've got an aftermarket one. And yeah, the Boss kit that comes with it possibly wedges on there a little better than the original. And yeah, but as I said, the issue you get is that when you go, so your steering wheel bolts on here. Here's my wheel, my timber wheel. For this reason too, I'm going to go timber on the dash. I like my timber steering wheel, and because I'm painting it black, timber goes well with black too. So, but yeah, the issue you get is when you go to take your wheel off, so you got to change the position, after you've done a wheel alignment or something like that. And you normally just, put your hands under steel and give it a tap and it comes out. However, mine, requires, a pretty big hit to get it off. And when you do that, you pull this bearing out. It's this little bit of alloy isn't really enough to hold it in for the force that's required to get your steering wheel off. I expect I'm not the only one having this issue, but yeah, I've had for a couple of years now where if you reef on the steering wheel for any reason, the whole thing comes out. Well, it doesn't come right out, it doesn't disconnect from your steering. You'd have to pull it out, like, a freaking foot or something for it to actually come out and have no steering. But when it comes up, it knocks off this little spring, and I've got a new one, I hope, still in a packet. But yeah, so the spring's missing off the other side. Right, that's from this bearing coming up. Hits it, knocks the spring off, and then your blinkers don't cancel. Yeah, and I was really hoping that I could just weld a washer onto a bit of tube that I can bolt down onto these bolts so that it's locked in. But yeah, everything's so tight. Like, it's not so much this piece, but when you get the ring on, this bolts onto the bottom of under the underside of the steering box, the steering boss, I should say. And these two knobs are what cancels your indicators. And yeah, it's completely controlled by the steering wheel. So all the concern I had when I was putting the steering box back together, because the steering column locks onto the steering place, it only locks into one place. The intermediate shaft, it only locks into one place on the steering box and one place on the steering column. And I was concerned that, if I didn't get it in the right place, then the indicators wouldn't cancel and all the rest of it. But yeah, it's all attached to the steering wheel, so it really doesn't matter. Anyway, getting back to the issue. So yeah, there's no way I can make anything out of steel to lock that in. So the only thing I can do is just get a punch now and knock this little bit of alloy ridge over and try and lock this bearing back into it. But then I've still got the issue of next time I take my steering wheel off, I'm likely to pull it out again. As I said, because the force you need to get this off the steering column is more than this can cope with, and it'll just pull the bearing out. So yeah, because I can't make anything to hold that solidly, the only option I've got now is that next time I take the steering wheel off, I'm going to have to use a puller of some kind. And there's nothing in here that I can really attach it to. Yeah, the only place you can attach it is on the top on those bolts. They're only like little 1/4-inch bolts going into alloy. So if you're going to attach a puller onto this, you'd want to go at least 4. You'd probably want to go the whole 6. But see, that's an issue in itself. That means you've got to undo all 6 bolts, take your steering wheel off to attach a puller to it. You know, that action in itself, every time you undo these screws and tighten them back up, your wrist damage and the threads are pulling the threads out. Like it's only outly wearing them out. So I really didn't want to go down that road either, but yeah, I don't really have any other option. I mean, I could, if this was steel, it'd be no problem. I'd be able to just weld something on the inside here. Because once you get the steering wheel on, you've got a couple of wires down here. There's nothing else really that goes inside here. All this is basically open space. So if it was steel, I could weld a couple of tabs on there that I could hook the pulley onto. And I could drill it and bolt it, but like, you can't drill it from the inside. You'd have to drill through from the outside, and then you'd damage it. You gotta, I don't know. I could go down that road. I could. It doesn't take much to paint it up again. It's a pretty crap paint job anyway. Yeah. I just ran this. I'll put this in the sandblast. Took the old flaky paint off, but yeah, it's pretty crap. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's okay. So I'm still thinking about what I'm going to do here rather than try and explain it. But yeah, I'm going to drill through from the outside in between where these wires are, because there's nothing in the way. Yeah, in the centre of where the other holes are. Drill in here. I'm going to thread right through it, and then have two pieces of metal come down that I can screw a couple of bolts into. It'll come up to, I think I'll probably just make my own entire pulley actually, rather than trying to modify one of my other pulleys. So yeah, it'll be a couple of tabs come up, plate going across, back down again. A large nut with a bolt that can press onto the steering column. Yeah, make short bolts that I can gonna go all the way through, because obviously there's going to be some holes on the outside now, which I'll have to putty up or something, or I don't know, that I could lose studs in there, possibly. Yeah, probably is enough room. You've only got to allow room for the socket to get in there. Like the nut itself's not that big. Yeah, see, not a big nut. So yeah, it's basically, yeah, it's the same size as the housing itself. So yeah, I could screw studs in it. As you probably wouldn't even need. Probably wouldn't even need nuts to bolt it on. You could probably do like a, I'm not writing on nothing important. No, don't do that. Yeah. So I'm talking about the tabs for the pulley. So yeah, I got the boss and screw some studs in either side. And you're coming down onto that. So up here you'd have a plate with a large nut welded on and a bolt comes through that's going to push onto your steering column. So then you'd have a couple of plates come down, hook onto these studs. I could just drill holes in, squeeze them in and let them pop back out onto that. Or I could get like this plate, I could just make them like a hook. Actually, yeah, you'd want it because you'd be turning it that way. So you'd want this one facing this way. Yeah, and that one facing the other. Yeah, so you put it on, and then as you turn it, it's pushing this way, locking them into the studs. Yeah, a lot of hassle. Said all of this because they didn't actually design that very well. You know, that should be more secure in there than that. Than just, you know, bending a tab over. Like bending a tab over on alloy especially, you know, it's weak as. So, I wish I could have gone with a plate. I wanted to set a washer on here. Weld it to a bit of tube with a couple of tabs and just bolt the thing down so it can't move, but there isn't enough room to do that. Anyway, I shall persist with it. I'll get this bent over anyway. Get these tabs bent over and get this yeah, get the lock and all the switches and everything back on, and then we'll work on what we're going to do for next time. I have to get the steering wheel off. Now, and you might think, oh, you don't take it off, but yeah, you do. When you're doing wheel alignments, I mean, by rights, you should, you know, if you've got the steering wheel in the correct place in the column, you should be able to adjust it by your tyre on down so that your steering wheel stays in the centre. That's usually what you do actually, is you get your wheels roughly centre, you get your steering wheel straight, and then you adjust your tyre rod ends to where your wheel is, and also in relation to your steering box, you know, so that your pitman arm's in the middle and like middle of its travel. But, you know, as I said, if you can't get all that, yeah, if you haven't got your steering wheel in the right place to begin with, well, you might not be able to do that and still have to take your steering wheel off. So, yeah, as I said, I don't want to have this issue of this pulling out again. I don't want to keep bending it over and then having them pull out, and it'll get to the point where these parts that you're bending over will just start snapping off anyway if you do it too many times. So, yeah, anyway, so I said, yeah, so the only conclusion that I'm left is that I have to avoid, whacking the steering wheel up like you would normally do to get the steering wheel off. And then you have to pull it out with a puller. Alright, I'll leave it at that. We haven't done a bit. I will make another video, probably the next day or two, and maybe even today. Depends how I go for time. I got a few other things I got to do too. But yeah, I'll make another video showing you what I come up with. Alright, thanks for watching. Bye.